Back, reconvening the June 1st, 2026 regular Board of Trustees meeting. First item B, report action taken in closed session. No action was taken in closed session. Next, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 5, public comment period. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the public may comment on items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board. For items on the agenda, the public may comment at the time the board considers the agenda item. For items not on the agenda, the public may comment under item 5A, public comment. The Board of Trustees requests that individuals who would like to address the Board of Trustees on an item do so by filling out a request to address the OUSD school board card and turning it into the superintendent prior to the agenda item. Cards are available at the meeting. Comments are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Groups are asked to limit their comments to a total of 5 minutes. The board shall limit the total time of public comment to 20 minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay. And moving on to our action items and public hearings.
Yes.
First one, item A.
Yes, so we have a resolution 2630, specifications of the election order for governing board. OUSD will have 3 board member vacancies to be filled at the November 3rd, 2026 general election. And this resolution is a requirement to set forth the authority for ordering the election. If there is an election, the district would reimburse the county, which we have budgeted in our budget for next year, $30,000 currently for that election.
Thank you. Any board comments or questions about this one? No? Okay, then this is on for action. To request a motion.
So moved. Second, Mrs. Eve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have to do it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
resolution.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Phillips.
Aye.
Trustee Namtwa.
Aye.
Vice President Weiner.
Aye.
President Shogun.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, item B, the 2026-27 OUSD Local Control Accountability Plan.
Okay.
This one I have to open a hearing.
You do.
Okay, I'm opening the hearing.
All right, so it's our LCAP. And just to overview of what the LCAP is, it's a 3-year plan that includes our goals, actions, services, expenditures to support the positive student outcomes and continuous improvement. I mean, it is a really good process for us where we assess our needs, gather input, share with the community how programs are going and how we're meeting our student needs. It is a requirement and part of our local control funding formula. You will hear the budget presentation right after this, and the two are connected. We must address the 8 state priorities and associated metrics, and then along we match it up with our priorities as well. And then currently we are entering our 3rd year of the 3-year LCAP cycle. And the public hearing is today, and the action would be recommended next week. So some components of the LCAP, the 26-27 LCAP must include the budget overview, which is attached, local control accountability plan, utilizing their actual template, the state template, which we also have attached. And then part of that is also 26-27 local indicators, which is a self-reflection, and we have attached those as well. And those become part of the dashboard in the fall. Just a reminder, we did our mid-year update back in February for an information to the board. So that's also a requirement, is intact. Couple of just around the development process and the timeline. As I mentioned, it's a 3-year plan, and this is a 3rd year. So next year, when we bring back to the board, we can comprehensive review and potentially some new changes. We'll see. Input is gathered to inform the progress of the goals and actions, and those were established in the 1st year, which is the 24-25 school year. And then the budget is aligned to the LCAP goals. This hearing is required, and the board must approve the LCAP prior to July 1. For us itself here locally, we participated in a comprehensive strategic planning process back in 21-22. Every time we get LCAP input, we consider, is it time to go back and do a comprehensive planning program? But our priorities seem to remain relevant, so we have kept them in place. LCAP goals and strategic directions continue to be aligned amongst those two, and the metrics and data have been updated, and I'll be reviewing those tonight. And then reflection and budget analysis of the goals and actions is based on all the input. This is just a visual of how it all aligns. We have our mission statement, which I loved hearing when it was mentioned in one of the speeches at OIS promotion. I thought that was, if we could record that and put it on our website, it was perfect. And then our strategic directions support our mission statement. And then annually, the board goes through the goals and priorities to make sure that we're still aligned, LCAP, actions and goals, and then single plan is done by students in the fall. So that's the visual of how it all falls together. This was our development timeline. Really, the green parts in February, March, April were input, data analysis, and then end of April, May, June is when we start putting it together. And in June is the presentation. Just a reminder, I think you all know our mission statement, and then the 4 strategic directions around student-centered learning, community of belonging, dedicated staff, and financial stability, and those continue to be our guides. And here's the LCAP state priorities that have to be addressed. The color coding is matched up, but they really are around student outcomes, which is our student achievement, and then other student outcomes, engagement, parent engagement, student engagement, school climate and culture, and then conditions of learning are really like basic conditions, textbook adoptions, availability of instructional materials, technology, how are we aligning a curriculum to our standards, and then our facilities and course access. Okay, and then here are our 3-year LCAP goals. So our goals have not changed in this LCAP. We did make some minor changes in the actions and how we're supporting them. Next year, we'll see what our goals look like. I won't read them here, but it's a summary. All right. Educational partners engagement. We gathered a lot of input this year. We rolled out surveys to all parents and guardians around specifically related to the LCAP goals. And then we met with some committees. A couple of the committees actually were directly related to action items like school schedule, homework committee, grading committee. So we're able to get input from them. And then the coordinating council as parent leaders. And then we had some school-based focus groups will continue in the fall this work as they determine what the single plans look like. Students, we administered surveys to all students in grades 4 through 8. Got a lot of good input. And it's really student cliche input. Student input, I say it's funny, that's funny. Student input gathered through meetings with OIS student leadership, and actually I should have brought in here, and focus groups of 4th and 5th graders as well. So at every single school site. Staff got surveys regarding the LCAP goals, and then I had input sessions at every single school sites, which was actually really well attended by almost all staff members as they come into lunchtime and their grade bands. And then they'll continue working on the fall SIPSA as well. Components, when you look at the document or what we have to actually put in to the actual LCAP, we have to have goals, which we do, and they're addressed and they're aligned with the priorities and community input. We have action items, action steps that address each of those goals. And then we have estimated budget and resource allocated in each action. Some of the action items don't require funding, so it says 0 on there. I will say, just for the requirements of the LCAP, really the mandate is to just address goals and action items with the unduplicated students. But we run our LCAP a little wider to put in kind of transparent goals and actions of what we're doing, not just around a small group of students. Metrics are established to assess success of all the actions. Most of them are required by the state. For most of these items, 23-24 data is utilized as the baseline. So created in 24-25, 23-24 data. And then now the current data or the most current data is reported as year 2 outcome. And they're all written to be accomplished over a 3-year period. Sorry. Everyone's sneezing at me. I got some questions around, sorry. I know.
Do you need a minute?
I just need to. Something was in my throat.
You want a minute?
Sure. Okay, so I did get some questions around, my voice changed, I'm like mutating. I got some questions around the baseline and which year was used. Thank you. And it's based on the available data, so I'll cover that as I go through that. Before I get into the goals and metrics and actions, any questions? It's gonna be hard if my throat doesn't come back. It's just embarrassing. Okay, so the way I structure the presentation, I'm gonna go through some input that we just gathered, and then we'll go through the actions and the metrics. So goal 1 is around student learning. These are key, like I said, there was like 700 or 800 students that participated in the survey. So these are just really the key themes that came up. They really want more engaging, hands-on and collaborative learning experiences. And I actually heard that quite a bit in our feedback sessions around students want more STEAM, more hands-on items, just more engagement, more outside. They want increased opportunities for creativity, projects, and more choice. They really like when they have input in what's happening in the classrooms or to accelerate or to get support. And that's what I say in here, desire for both additional challenge and additional support depending on individual learning needs. So there's quite a bit of feedback from students around I want more support. And then there was feedback around wanting acceleration. And this was quite heavily centered around math, either students wanting to be able to accelerate earlier in elementary schools or not being able to stay on top of it. Yeah.
Can you share with is this a good time for questions? I just have,
Please
share with, I know we've talked about the math pathway before. There's been some like resurgence of like question. How does that work now in terms of like, I know students or families were self-selecting, but now we've kind of.
So years ago,
Yes.
I think, well, pre my time,
Yes.
it was a what I would call a free-for-all acceleration where anybody could go. And then also at that time, very quickly tightening when it was not working well to just, have no data points. So it got much tighter. But we still allow acceleration after 5th grade. We're now, and Sarah can jump in, I'll just start and then I'll let you talk to this, is we use a multi-pronged sort of a rubric of who's recommended, and then parents can opt out of that recommendation and still accelerate. But it is done after 5th grade. We are 2 of La Orinda partners so Moraga and us are after 5th grade, Lafayette and Willow Creek accelerate after 6th grade. So it's Common Core 6 for everyone, and then they accelerate for us. We do it after 5th grade. You want to talk just a little bit about the rubric and where we're heading? Sure.
Yeah, so the rubric involves a multiple choice assessment that's really assessing 5th grade skills, mostly, and a little bit of 6th grade skills. And then we take into account our math screening data, which is our STAR assessment that's given 3 times a year. And we also take into account the students' 4th grade CAS data And then there's also a task that's done, a Mars task that's done, which shows more of their critical thinking and is more multi-step and language-based. And so we're taking in all those two accounts, different weighted, with the heaviest weight on the most recent assessment being the multiple choice assessment. And from there, we come up with a composite score for the student.
And that's for sixth grade, depending on, I'm sorry, that's sixth grade.
That's fifth to
That's
sixth.
Fifth to sixth, and then seventh is when.
They can still accelerate
They
in
can.
sixth and seventh.
Yeah,
So even if the students were not either mature enough mathematically or
Or they
they
moved
just
into
didn't
the
want to,
district or something. Yeah,
then they can accelerate after sixth and after seventh.
that's great. Okay. Thank you.
So we allow the pathways, and we're constantly examining this. Our rubric is robust, it's well thought out, but it's pretty cumbersome to understand.
Mhm.
So I think some parents, have questions around like, why is my student doing so well here, but they're not
Mhm.
recommended, which are actually really good questions because it's a lot to understand and comprehend. Sarah's done a lot of work this year in looking at each one of those points of a rubric and how does it actually correlate to success of the students. And some of them correlate much more than others, and that's how we're evaluating our rubric.
Yeah.
But with that, we're allowing parents to still accelerate
Mhm.
if that's what they choose. Sometimes people maybe be a little more recommended against doing it, and other times, sure, just sign off.
One of our biggest goals is to remove some of the pieces that lend themselves to bias. And so we're in the process of doing that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we removed recommendations
Mhm.
For
and
example,
behavior and things like that.
Yeah, so it's a slow process and the research that I've done to figure out which one of these assessments actually correlates the best to student progress in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and what do their grades look like based on whether they got a 0 on this assessment and maybe opted in, or we didn't recommend them, and which one of them doesn't really correlate very well to their success in the accelerated math pathway. So I think we have some good data around that to make some recommendations for next year's rubric.
Yeah, and just to finish up, but one of the things that we want to bring back is, we've done course catalog. That's actually one of our action items to do a full audit of electives and pathways. So for next year, we do want to look at, are these the right pathways? I think we score really well in math in Orinda. We're one of the top scorers. With that though, when you accelerate and you pull the students, it's not a very diverse group
Mhm.
in the regular Common Core on grade level classes. So we're challenged by that. So one of the ways that some of the other districts are doing, that you literally can just skip a grade level basically in math. So either through some additional support, or some kids are just ready. I would say middle school math is spirals and there's a lot of repetition, so that's doable, as opposed to doing something like that at high school, which is a lot more curriculum.
And I think also. a
So
lot of
we're just
families-
looking, that would be multi-grade levels within a grade. So we're just examining all options out there.
Yeah.
But we're nervous about what is that going to do to our math.
Yeah, and I think a lot of families also are still unaware, especially if they move into the district or if they are not familiar with the pathway. So
Yeah.
I think that happens.
And that's why it's so important for us to be careful about making sure we are assessing everybody. So everybody, like in some districts, not every fifth grader, for example, will take the accelerated assessment. Every fifth grader here does, so they have that opportunity. And then every sixth and seventh grader is evaluated for an opportunity to accelerate once even they're in at OIS, which also helps to limit that access issue of whether or not your parents are aware.
That's right. Great, thank you.
So math was in a lot of our student surveys. Improved classroom environments with regards to distractions and disruption was also pretty major input around wanting if there's behaviors to be addressed, and to limit the disruption. So this is students talking about other students.
Are the same questions asked for fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth?
Slightly in a more mature way. But yes, similar.
But similar.
Very, so that we can compare. And that's actually a big part of our work in leadership retreat tomorrow is going through and seeing what those themes are and what's coming up at one side versus the other versus middle school. Yeah, so we get into the granulars. And then better balance. I mean, they talk about student wellness, scheduling, homework, and so on. Staff input, as you can see, same. They want more support around how to differentiate, intervene, support for the differentiation intervention within the school day, especially for struggling learners, student requiring enrichment. So how do you navigate groups of students with such diverse needs? And again, math was up around more training in math instruction, inclusive practices, executive functioning supports, but specifically math. We have literacy TOSAs. There was quite a bit of mention around more math support, the way maybe the district has done in the past. So continued implementation around just our support of how they do assessment, how they do instruction and then grading practices. And there's always a call for additional collaboration time so that we can, enhance those, really solidify our instructional effectiveness. And then the parents, again, oh, no, this is the same one?
No.
No, it's not. Oh, a differentiation, intervention acceleration came up again. Math acceleration opportunities came up again. So that was a common theme amongst all stakeholders.
I have a question about that. Was there
yeah.
any input around acceleration or, I guess, maybe that's the wrong word, differentiation at the elementary level?
Yes,
regarding
quite
that?
from all. Students, some parents wanting, can we accelerate sooner? Can I be pushed into another grade level for math? Students ask, saying, I really can't keep up, to I want more on board. So it was all over the place.
And I know there's a clear rubric for middle school or for an actual course that's fully accelerated, but are there initial thoughts around addressing some of those clearly identified needs? I don't know if that's the right word, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's come up a lot, right?
Yeah, I think probably the best way to support it is through differentiation skills of the classroom teacher and supporting that because when we start to move kids to different grade levels in order to access math instruction, that's where we get to the idea of that's akin to like tracking. And you start to think, well, if we're moving kids ahead for math, why wouldn't we be moving kids below for math? Right? Because, and so it just becomes a slippery slope. And the idea is that in grades K through 5, we want our educators to be equipped to be able to serve those needs and provide them with the opportunities to provide those extensions right within their own classroom and meet those needs.
I think there's a lot more conversations around
Yeah.
that too. There was a pretty heavier input around math, but
I mean, certainly we need to do more, right, is what we're
I
hearing.
think it begs the question, like, if it's acceleration, let's say, and not intervention, what practices are there for enrichment? My own kids in elementary school, I felt like there was quite a range dependent, and it was very teacher dependent, understandable. But if there's a way to kind of systematize that or structure that so that means something, right? Like enrichment in 3rd grade means this, so it's defined a little bit more.
yeah, no, I think that's good. More hands-on, again, parents very much aligned with their, I'm sorry, I skipped the grading consistency. This is one of our biggest input every year from staff, from parents, is that they want consistency in curriculum, homework, grading, and expectations across grade levels in schools. So we continue to work on that alignment. Hands-on engaging practices, increased communication regarding student progress. This is especially out of OIS. Really, there was some noted inconsistencies around how often communication goes out, but elementary school in general, there's a lot of communication through Friday folders or newsletters, and then it's very different when you get to middle school. So that is our ongoing challenge. And then support with students with IEPs 504. Of course, there was quite a call on that too. And what are we doing there? These were our action items. I'll just say the one with the asterisks is either new or updated. We were to leave all action items, not delete them. So some of them, because it's a 3-year plan, we've done. So like effective assessment and grading 1.5 is around, we developed the grading policy, we were continuously evaluating it, and now it's sort of in a latter stage, right? So continue to refine what's going on, and then further changes. Same with the homework. Our action item was to have a policy. Now we're going to roll it out and we'll changed it to more of an implementation action item. And then the 115 was added to support our classrooms and schools with regards to these tier 2 intervention practices. And we want to systematize it, to your point, Katie, especially how academy is being utilized now that the schedule has changed, and that has it's 40 minutes. And then also win time around what does that embedded intervention or extension look like in the classroom and make it systematic. So we want to provide support on that. So that's a new action item around school schedule implementation, really making sure that we provide professional development training, whatever are the resources and support as we implement some aspects of that, like early bird, late bird, small groups, and so on. And then, while it wasn't a major theme, it did actually come up enough throughout, especially on parent surveys, really mainly all on parent surveys around technology use. So we did put it as an action item to have we call it a committee, but a work group of staff members with Kevin's support, Sarah with the curriculum around what is the appropriate use of technology that's research backed look like at various grade levels. So we wanted to tackle that at the start of the year. So,
Great. Yeah, I'm glad to see that.
with regards to the metrics, so the one that's sort of beige-ish, sorry, it doesn't translate well on the screen, is our current year outcome. So I think these are all the same school year. So, okay. I was going to say some of them like baselines are different years, so I was going to explain it. But these are pretty simple. Williams complaint, percent of students with instructional materials. This broad course of study is actually measuring, Etta, to what you were asking about, how many students have access to all of our courses of study. So the fact that we offer geometry, that's part of that actually cost, is because we offer our own internal double acceleration and so on, and Spanish and such. And then the last one is around an indicator, which we are either implementing or sustaining, so level 4 and 5, which is great. These are our test scores. So the reason like year 2 outcome is based on last year's test scores, actually. So they come in 25, 26. We have exceeded our science goal. Well, no, we haven't. Never mind. We haven't succeeded in any of our goals yet. So we're watching these results and our established goals. And while we see an improvement, we're not there yet. Our English learners are progressing really well. This is kind of a funky data here. The state used to do a metric and publish their own reclassification data, and then they stopped doing it. So then we were told to do it out of local data of how many percent of students, which is very different than however they were doing it. Also, the requirements changed. So our goal is based on the original baseline, but we will have surpassed it. And it looks like state is coming back with their own next year, a whole different kind. Any questions on these? Oh, Ds and Fs are not available because all the grades are still coming in. So we'll have that actually updated by next week. Any questions on goal 1, the metrics, action items, input? Okay. Goal 2 is our community of belonging. Our students, there was a lot of kind words and they just appreciate their friendships and kindness and respectful treatment. There was really a lot of good positive feedback. But there were requests for stronger anti-bullying efforts and conflict resolution. I mean, they didn't say conflict resolution, but that's what they were describing. They all want schools, and I'm not saying that they didn't say that our schools are already where they feel accepted, but that's what they valued. They want to feel accepted, included, they want to feel safe. There was a lot of expression for counselors, appreciation for counselors, wellness centers, loves, clubs, sports, and feel like those are the things that create that belonging feeling. And then there's a continued concern regarding peer conflict, exclusion, classroom behaviors, and that just kept coming up, those classroom behaviors. Our staff put an emphasis on the need for that balance of student wellness, belonging with curriculum, and asked for additional supports for mental health, behavioral, how to deal with difficult behaviorals in the classrooms, get additional support on that. And then additional resources for supporting students' relationships, conflict resolution. And then we had quite a bit of resurgence around wanting to make sure that we use restorative practices and that we're doing trainings around inclusion, belonging, equity, racial, gender, all sorts of things. And so we're actually budgeting for that to have additional training. We used to and bring back quite a bit and address some of those issues.
What kind of training specifically?
So right now, we just started with Ali Cannon and his consultancy LGBTQ training, and that has was really well received on our one session that we did at OIS, and then we're going to bring it to the board and for approval for next year when we get the contract. And then talking about National Equity Project. Sorry, I was not saying this correctly, yes. So to work around with our teachers around materials, biases, so it's more around the race and ethnicity. So those are really the two components we're coming in with.
Thank you.
And we tried them out as well at our PD day in March, yes, and that was well received as well, yeah. Parents continued again support wellness, so that was echoed by all stakeholders, and same with the anti-bullying system, behavioral supports. Really called for more consistency in behavior expectations from classroom to classroom and how we're responding. These are really challenging responses to like communicate out because you can't communicate how you dealt with student discipline. So sometimes there is accountability, but you can't really talk about it. But there are things that we can publish on here's our method, here's what we do. When this happens in general. So we're working on those handbooks actually this summer. But there's greater focus on inclusion, belonging, positive peer interactions, and then always a call for more support during recess lunch because it's unstructured time. So that's where these kind of negative interactions are happening when they're not in front of a teacher. So for our action items, we updated a couple. So provide the recess extracurricular was there, but we added, can we figure out how to add more supervision? Because that's one thing that we kept hearing from the students. There's just not enough supervision. Even though we have technically enough, they're just not feeling it. So something needs to either happen, either different training for those supervisors and then who's supervising. We administer a Healthy Kids survey every other year. We had talked about adding challenge success in our own local surveys. That's a little more systematic. So that's planned for next year. So that's why that was updated. And then I just talked about the professional development. Let's see, the 2.8 was changed because it's a very specific committee. So we just wanted to keep it based on the needs. And then the last two bullets are new, 2.9 and 2.10. 2.9, there was as I work with the counselors, we have second step in our elementary schools, but we don't have a solid curriculum in middle school. So our counselors are pulling from different resources. So we really want to evaluate something more for them so that they're not developing their own continuously and they have more resources. Whether they're great at it, it's just a lot. And then the other one is, as I mentioned, we're working on a handbook. So this is a very comprehensive handbook that tiers of support for social, emotional, behavior, and academic support that outlines everything of where do you report it, where does it go in Aries, how's the data, how are we monitoring it, who's reporting, what's an SRT team look like, SSD, so it's all the same at the schools. So that's Sarah and I've been getting input. First went to training, we got input from our leadership team, from our counselors. So now we have the information to write it all up. So. And
Question about
implement it.
2.8. So district-wide parent committees, or the staff and parent engagement committees specific, those are ones you want to begin and start specifically?
So
or
they
just
specifically
open-ended?
had a budget committee and they had we had outlined in our first year, like 3 steering committees.
Right,
And then, like last year, we actually had a schedule and homework committee. So the action item was just a little bit more vague. So that we're not so locked
Tied to
into
something.
something and we can develop, when we develop the goals at the start of the year to see where is the best input and what we need. The metrics are there. Again, we have high goals. Some we're getting closer than the others. But like this is one of those years, like in the Healthy Kids survey right here, we don't have 24-25 data because we didn't administer the test. So you can see that's why there's sort of certain years. So that's why I put the years in there so that you understand that it's sometimes depending on the data that's available. All of these you've actually seen already in like individual presentations, but let me know if you want me to talk to any specific ones. And this is a lot more safety, Healthy Kids survey. We talked about our concerns around suicidal ideation and the other positives that were reported there. This is the last one. The counseling, I think this is the hard one. When we actually started our LCAP, we didn't have a baseline for our counseling. So then we went backwards and established it. And in this data mining, this data is kept very differently site to site. And that's part of the other reason why this needs to be written up more in a handbook. So I had to clarify that every single student at OIS has an exposure to the counselor. They either see them for a meet and greet or they're visited by the counselors. So I didn't feel like that was very solid data. But then when we pull individual visits, 61% of students visit individually. So that's why I added that in there.
Was there data about not just individual visits, but repeated visits by?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. We have, yes,
I don't know what the word is.
repeat students.
helpful.
Repeat
Yeah.
students. Yeah.
I think that would be helpful too. Just, one-time visit is one thing, but if you have students that are returning consistently or.
2% of students that are consistently sort of on more intensive counseling. And that's actually what the elementary school counseling is, like intensive counseling.
Right, but we haven't heard that data from OIS.
And we can,
I think in their presentation, that
little
data
bit,
point was
but-
like off because it had sort of combined
Right.
academic visits with non-academic visits.
or we can.
If they go at lunchtime or.
Yeah, they were hard to pull
Before
apart.
school.
Their job descriptions are a little different and their qualifications are different. While elementary have MFTs and their therapy licenses, really at OIS, they're hired as academic counselors, but their job is 50-50, social
Right, but it sounds
emotional.
like it's kind of
So,
transitioned a little bit in
yeah.
terms of what they're seeing.
right,
coming
so,
in for work.
yeah, so we can pull it and see.
Okay.
Okay, our middle school dropout, that's a mandatory. Any questions on goal 2? All right, we'll go to goal 3, which is around our qualified staff. Student input, they love their teachers. Our students overwhelmingly express how much they love their teachers, they care, because they're supportive and they're engaging. So it was really actually fun to read. And then their biggest input was around, they want to make sure they have clear explanations and that it's really positive in those classrooms. And then the recognition that really you could see the students that were saying that they have a positive teacher and therefore I have it's really nice to be in that classroom and I can learn better. So I mean, those two are clearly connected. Yeah. Around from our staff, again, a call for collaboration and planning time, meaningful job embedded professional development. There's a call for additional support to plan and do intervention, counseling, special education, supervision needs. So that's a lot in that bullet. Improved communication, organizational systems. I think around like what committees mentions around which committees will lead to decisions that will impact some big change, want more timelines, more information, more communication series, sort of more face-to-face time around, which is always hard to do, right? But that's, we can do that. And then there was a call for attention to workload sustainability and staff wellness. Sarah and I have had conversations around kind of as we move forward to next year. I mean, we've had a lot of changes in the last few years. I mean, just this year, we're implementing new schedule, new homework, grading practices. There was phonics, OIS is examining science and math curriculum. There's just a lot, which is great that we're not, sitting in our status quo. But it's almost like we want to focus really explicitly on sustainable implementation. How do we support so this is all stays here and it's not just ongoing change, because then we're just rushing through it. So we acknowledge that for sure. And then parent, again, consistency, instructional practices, strong communication. Felt that there was really strong, we always get positive comments around how much communication is coming through, what it's about. Some saying it's too much communication also because people just can't read their emails, which I actually think communications is, in LCAP survey, we asked specifically about communications, which is not part of a goal, but we noticed that that's always a barrier, even if we're doing something. Our community may not know about it. So it's really, we're challenged by how do you communicate if people don't want to read, or they're getting too much things in writing, which I get, but they don't really want to watch a video of us either. So what are those, parent forums? Sometimes are really well attended and other times are not at all. So it's just constantly like, how do you strike that balance of doing a little bit out there? Ongoing challenge in where we just constantly started. And then there was a lot of like, I don't know how you can support staff. That's your job. So, which is great.
Only 3 bullet points.
Yes. There is the survey. I don't know if it's because it's like start of the survey towards the end. Way more input is always on the first 2 strategic directions. And people know that personally, what kind of work your child's coming home with. They have interactions with the teachers. About that. What your students think about what's happening at lunch. What kind of professional development they develop to offer. They're like, I don't know, it's up to you, right? So staff has more input there. But in general, they don't know quite how to respond to that. Our action items, we only, we changed 3.5. The other ones remained. And that is, we currently have TOSA. We wrote this last year as an unfunded action item and priority. We have not allocated funding to it yet, but we're hoping if there is significant one-time money that gets approved, which is not currently in our budget, that we could look at what does this support look like? Is it in the form of an additional TOSA? Is it curriculum leads? But there was such a call for additional support and we're stretched thin. So in a teacher level, we're not talking like administrative. Let's see. And then the metrics, I mean, these are, a couple of them are state required, like the first one. And they're really behind in giving us exact CD data. So we pull this locally. But the other ones were actually something that we developed locally around, are we 100% staffed? And we have been in certificated and administrative position at the starts of the year. Classified is much bigger challenge. Recruitment and hire, and then we monitor when staff leaves, why are they leaving, so that we can monitor trends and address those as well. So, and we'll have that at the end of the year, or we didn't have it last week. Questions on goal 3? All right. So our last one also, I will say this gets by far the most input because it includes facilities from our students. So, and lunch and lunch. So, so student input, I mean, you see it improves school meals and food options. While that took a backseat last year, we really heard about it this year. So Mika and I have already met with our Chartwell's partners and Lindsay to see what we can do. And did this principal survey, which pretty much matched up with what our students are saying. They want healthier food. They want more vegetarian options. They want more options in general. So we pass that on, and they'll be doing student surveys in groups as well. Students they love talking about bathrooms. And so there's a lot of input about cleanliness in bathrooms, common areas, campuses. The one's already implemented some of the responses to the feedback on how rooms are being cleaned, checked during the next year. So hopefully we'll see a lot of improvement there. There was a call for improvement in playgrounds, like student facilities, and that's student facilities mainly out of OIS. One of the biggest things that we hear about every year is there's no indoor seating, which hopefully will at least alleviate a little bit with this new student area. And then also access to the rest of their facilities. They're bunched into certain groups. So we've talked to the administration around how do you provide supervision so our students can actually spread out into areas and eat all over the place. Always want more opportunities for clubs, activities, student engagement, even though that gets usually the highest remark of how much we offer. And then continued access to technology while maintaining opportunities for hands-free learning. There's clearly some students were talking about, my parents read something about this technology. Should I be on screen time? Is it bad for me? So that came through from the survey. So I think that's going to be a good input next year. Our staff, again, additional supports as mentioned. Also, there were some comments, especially out of Wagner, around instructional spaces really being kind of crammed into. They are by far our most impacted school, so that came up quite a bit. There was so much positive around the schools that have gone through modernization last year, and then call for that for this year, which we'll be able to check off. And then equitable access to resources across schools, just making sure that we have support in curriculum, support in classrooms, that, in some schools teachers share, in other schools they don't. Some have conference rooms, others don't. So just a little more as we go into fall, we'll be doing a demographic study, right? Potentially boundary, this is all connected to that. And then there was a lot of call for additional aid support or financial support to address intervention and differentiation. And then parents, transparent, again, communication, wanting, communication around one Orinda funds. It's all on the websites and every school site or one site. So how do we put that out there more so it's not so passive? More communication around what in the world are you doing with all these facilities and why? So again, trying to balance how do we communicate. And then there's the technology in the classroom. Once again, continued investment, more, can we change the furniture in the classroom? Can we change outdoor heat? Can we get more shade? Those kind of things. And then lunch came up quite a bit. So we changed a couple things. One, on 4.3, we always had a budget advisory committee in here to work on. That was a really big committee. So we're trying to think of, as we move forward, can we have a small working committee between the labor board, our district staff, and then what was added in here is health benefit committee. Health benefits were not mentioned before, but we have noted through that data point of staff leaving or declining our offers, that benefits just keep coming up more and more. So we just wanted to do a full. What would a cost be to improve our benefits or increase? Is that even possible, feasible in a district of our size? But we just need to examine that. So we wanted to have a working committee on that for next year. And then the other one that was added is the food service. So we want to acknowledge that input and making sure that we're working, how is that ongoing input constantly gathered? How do we improve quality of food? And then how do we communicate that? Metrics are pretty simple here. We have actual SARCs. We did have we have a deferred maintenance plan. which we're doing much more on it than we have in the past, clearly, of what's being planned. We also have a $5 million budget or budgeted items for next year, which we don't have funding for that. But we also have modernization projects, which are taken care of quite a bit, and there's significant overlap. So Dalewood will do a presentation at the fall, sort of at the end of the summer projects, and new fresh eyes on our deferred maintenance plan.
Will that review then what the modernization has taken off that?
Yeah, so we'll update it to make sure that it's accurate and distinct.
Thank you.
The budget is as is, and I think you know the status of Wagner. It doesn't look good here, but we are actually making quite a bit of progress, and hopefully by next year that's going to be a difference. Okay, so those were our goals. Oh, was there a question on that goal? Okay, those were our goals, and really what's here right now is input on any potential changes or anything else you want to see. We have posted this on the website last Friday, and with information on how the public can provide input, and we'll take that all the way through Thursday, and then update the presentations or any action items or goals, or not goals, but actions and metrics, and we'll bring that back for your approval on Monday. School sites will develop a plan, and that's that. Happy to answer any questions that were not asked.
Questions or comments?
Thank you for that.
Of course, yeah, thank you. I think this is really thorough, and I like that it's still the same goals and following through on a lot of things. It's helpful to see the little asterisk next to things that you're working on
Oh, yeah.
to finish up, basically. So I don't have any other questions other than I think it's really comprehensive and conclude some of the work already started.
Right, yeah, I think next year will be a bigger
Right.
discussion of the new LCAP, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate the asterisks and the addition.
Yeah.
Some additional action items in there.
I'm curious, in the survey, did any of the students or anyone, I guess, bring up the cell phone policy that was implemented in the beginning of the school year?
No.
No.
Okay. Just the way of speech.
Well, yeah.
That was brought up in the
Okay.
elementary school, no. I mean, there's a lot of input on the surveys, but I've met with a lot of kids and looked through those. Really not much. We have seen these in our elementary schools,
Sure.
and they're asked to remove them and put them away, but kids sneak out, but have not seen, have not gotten input on that, or that they have noticed the difference much at OIS, because they were not allowed. So I think would probably be within the couple classrooms that we're allowed to listen to the music, and they're not, but I just didn't hear anything about it. Yeah. They did, what did they say at the speech, the OIS speech? They were looking forward to Miramani's cell phone policy or something like that.
Okay, is there any public comment?
Yes.
Charles?
Charles Shannon, President of the Orinda Education Association. I apologize, a little bit sick. I think it's really important to say that Superintendent Dr. Glimming did a really great job encouraging us to respond to the LCAP survey and also meeting us where we're at, coming out to school sites. So we really appreciate that. We think it's very effective to do the face-to-face, and there's always rich feedback with, and I saw it reflected in here. So I just want to say thank you so much for staying connected, closely connected to our schools. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Okay, there are no other comments. I will close this public hearing. Moving on, next one, I will open the next public hearing, the Orinda USD budget proposal.
Thank you.
You start talking and I'll follow you.
So this is 26-27 next year's budget proposal that actually includes this year's estimated actual as well. We are required to adopt this budget and send it to the county by July 1st along with the LCAP. Today is the first board meeting for the 26-27 budget. And we will bring this back next Monday along with LCAP for the approval. So governor released May revision, and this will be his last May revision of his term. The revision is to his January budget that was released. And it was released on May 14th. And there are multiple updates. First off, the statutory quota, cost of living adjustment, has been updated from 2.41% to 2.87%. 14 weeks of paid pregnancy disability leave was added. This is a mandate. And to fund this, he added 1.44% investment, additional LCFF investment to pay for this mandate. Even though the LCFF quota was updated, TK add-on rate has not been updated to receive 1.44%. TK add-on rate received just 2.87 statutory quota. Special education base rate AB 602 was updated. Back in January, it was $999 per ADA, and it was increased to $1,340 per ADA. And this is a welcome news. There are some one-time funds. We received student support and professional development discretionary block grant this year. And new funding, new one-time money is proposed to start next year as well. Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, it was ending at the end of this year, but new funding is proposed. The settle up he started in 24-25. Last year it was 1.9 billion, and he was planning to set aside 5.6 billion at January proposal, and he decreased this to 3.9 billion. And still, it is still there. He is planning to set aside this amount. He is proposing to put additional discretionary deposit to the rainy day fund, and on top of the mandated deposit. And when he does the additional deposit, it triggers 10% rule in the ending fund balance that we cannot exceed 10% of the expenditure, total expenditure budget. State grants, child nutrition mandated block grant will receive 2.87%. I noticed this was 2.41, but actually it's 2.87. So next Monday presentation, I will fix it.
So can I jump in just a little bit? So we wanted to just address a couple of things in the May revise that are a little different, especially from January. And Mika and I attended Capital Advisors presentation on Friday, which was really informative. And because there's three bodies, right, that have to agree to pass the bill. And it's the governor, the Senate, state Senate, and the state legislature. So governor gave his proposal. The Senate was actually meeting at the end of last week. So as we were in Capital Advisors, we're getting updates on what are they approving and what are they not. So it's nice to know, like 2 out of 3. So a couple of things that Capital Advisors are really, that there's still a big battle. Overall, this is a really good budget for schools in comparison to January. It's a positive budget in May. Their biggest issue, number one, is the settle up, the Prop 98, because what based on Prop 98, schools are supposed to receive 40% of the state revenue to the schools. That's what that is, Prop 98. And instead, what's being done is being borrowed from that state school allocation and given to the non-school side. And that's really what this is, with a promise to eventually pay you back. There is a mechanism in Constitution to do that. You can suspend Prop 98 and then you have a year to pay it off. But this settle up, there's no timeline to it. So they'll just pay us back sometimes. So this is why this is really heavily being fought by CSBA, by AXA, by CTA, it's like now 2 years in a row, money's being borrowed without any repayment timeline whatsoever. So we're glad that it went down, but I think the Senate actually, I can't remember if they said the Senate eliminated the settle up, but that's what's still being discussed or potentially lowered it. The other piece that's really, that we're being pushed on is the COLA or this investment in COLA. So COLA, or cost of living adjustment, is supposed to acknowledge that the cost of living is going up, and therefore they give you additional money ongoing. So current COLA doesn't even cover, like $1, given does not cover the dollar. It's not keeping up with the inflation at all. So then to say 4.1% COLA or 287 and 144 is, and also here's your other mandate. So if it's going to be a COLA, it should cover cost of living adjustment, right? As opposed to, now they've snuck in this other mandate, the pregnancy leave. That's not supposed to be covered out of COLA. They should actually just fund that. So that's what the big push is, that everyone's in agreement around paid pregnancy leave. So there's a general, philosophical, and of course we should do this, but it should be funded. Meaning that if that's a mandate, it needs to come with its own bucket of money to fund for that mandate. And if there's no money, then we can't do it, because otherwise we're really going to be taking it out of it from general fund, right? So the other piece around the paid pregnancy leave is that it doesn't align with anything when it comes to allowed leaves for substitutes. So you can get like a substitute on a 30-day permit, or you have to hire a whole teacher so nothing is aligned. So that's what they're pushing for, is if you're going to give a 14-week paid pregnancy leave, then take the substitute credentials and align them to that leave. Or otherwise, you're going to have rotating groups of subs going through the classrooms, which is really bad for the kids. So on one end, you're recognizing this inequity in education, women being affected with birth, and really are damaging children's experience by not aligning all these processes. So that's actually what capital advisors are pushing, and what our advocates are pushing for is not elimination of that, but designate the funding and align how the substitutes will be in there, or how we can actually cover those classrooms. So I just want to put those. And then last two things I'll just say is we included, or Mika included in the revenue, the funding that is being really widely supported, and school services and capital advisors said it's really low risk to no risk that it's going to get pulled back in the adopted budget. So like the 287 COLA, 144 for additional investment, the special education base rate increase, those funding, and then Mika will go through them in more detail of what's included in the revenue. We did not include the discretionary block grant because when we were building the budget, they said it's a little higher risk based on what kind of allocation is it going to be. Right now, it's allocated per student enrollment, or ADA, which is what we want. But there was some discussion, would it go to allocation by unduplicated number of students, which would be detrimental to us. We have heard that the Senate is kept it as is, so that's 2 parties out of 3. But that could be a little over $1 million of one-time funding for the district that is not in the budget. That would come with some of these action items that are not backed by actual real dollars. So anyway, just throw that out there as a side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the report just came in. So governor proposing in the Senate their position and Assembly's position, the cost of living adjustment, they all agree. 1.44 at this point, they all agree. Special ed base rate increased to $1,340. Everybody agrees. For the discretionary block grant, governor is saying based on ADA. Senate is saying ADA. Assembly is right now saying based on the LCFF allocation. So that means if you have higher unduplicated pupil percentage, they will get more money. Another thing it's unknown is what kind of requirement, what kind of restriction they will put.
Does it come with strings?
Right. learning recovery emergency block grant, they all agree as it was presented, and also KIT funding, kitchen
Oh, yeah, the
infrastructure.
kitchen funding's going up by like,
Right, but that one has different, governor said 100 million, Senate said 1 billion, Assembly said 200 million at this point.
so those we did not include because we just didn't know what figures to put in, we can't guess. So we will bring, yeah, anyway, I'll have, come to that at the end of what we'll do with
So
that
Mika,
information.
when you say they're in agreement about the 1.44 add-on to COLA, they're in agreement with that mandate as well for pregnancy leave? Or would that 1.44 be placed in a different investment, not part of COLA, but funded separately or to fund parent?
As additional investment. But I heard advocacy group is saying that for many districts, this is not enough.
Yes, 100%, for sure, I agree. That's why I was wondering what you knew about that,
I don't know.
where it stands.
I think they're just putting the position, yes, we
Mhm.
agree about 1.44.
But not yet, I'm not aware.
Whether or not it's part of COLA and it's one time. Like, is the proposal that every year there would be an additional percent added to COLA to pay for paid maternity leave, or this is really a 1 year thing?
No, this is only for 1 year, but then that increases the base for the
Right,
next.
right, I know it compounds, but it's
But so does the
very
requirement.
right.
And we
That's
never
not
know
enough money.
actually how much, year to year the leaves would be.
Right, if you
Different
don't have,
cost.
if you don't have any, you keep.
Yes, you still keep the money. But if you overspend because you have more,
You may not.
you're
get
not
reimbursed.
getting reimbursed. And that's actually the proposal from capital advisors that would be based on reimbursement.
Mhm.
So whatever, that there should be money
wasn't
in a
enough
bucket
money.
at the state. And then really, if we have 5 leaves, then we go and reimburse for 5 leaves.
Right.
So that's what their proposal is.
Looks like all three parties are proposing LCFF base rate to receive augmentation of 1.44 to fund the paid pregnancy leave. Okay, so the revenues for 26-27, the total amount is projected to be 52.3 million. 63% of it is coming from the state based on ADA, 1% federal, 9% state grants, 27% coming from the local. Within that 9% is parent donation, 11% parcel tax, 7% is combination of different things. So what's included in proposed budget revenue is the increase in LCFF revenue, 1.8 million from current year to next. This is due to the quota, 1.44% investment, and also enrollment increase. We are projecting to have 45 students more than this year. So revenue comes, but at the same time, we need to increase the expenditure to cover this enrollment increase. Special education increase, 8602 base rate increase that is included, which gives us 1.24 million. Naturally, special ed state contribution increases, that decreases the unrestricted general fund contribution to the restricted fund. One foundation donation on the personnel and technology was increased by 2.5% this year. Home to school transportation reimbursement, that is projected to increase. And we did not include new, not this year's discretionary block grant for 4 years, but starting next year's discretionary block grant, that is not included. And learning recovery emergency block grant is not included in 26-27 budget review. And next one shows the table. So it's separated by unrestricted and restricted. First line shows the LCFF funding, and LCFF unrestricted side is LCFF base. And what you see in restricted side, this is a special ed property tax revenue. So this is a part of special ed revenue. Federal revenue is special ed grants in Title II. Other state revenue is like mandated block grant, lottery, home to school reimbursement, home to school transportation reimbursement, EDOP, and stirs on behalf that is mandated to be included in the revenue is here. Local revenue, unrestricted side include facility use permit, donation, interest, and restricted side includes parcel tax revenue, and also special ed 8602 revenue. Other sources, 62,000. This is for the CREB. I can't remember that. That is for the solar. Yeah. And the contribution was decreased this year with the increase in special ed revenue. Any questions so far? The next one is expenditure for 26-27. The projected expenditure total is 53.1 million. Salary and benefits are 82%. And next one will talk about the proposed budget expenditure highlights. Certificated and classified salary and benefit budget increased by 7.4%. This has multiple things, step and column increase, and also additional FTE to support the additional enrollment. So certificated salary and benefits increased by 3.7 FTE. And classified current year contracts, the services supported by contracts in special ed, we are anticipated to hire employees to cover that. So the budget was moved from contract line to the classified FTE line. It is 6.33 FTE. In addition to ongoing funds, so the one-time fund that we received, the discretionary block grant, that is to be spent over 4 years. And that is supporting social salaries, professional development, and workshop. And expenditure, home to school transportation expenditure that we pay the third party is anticipated to increase. Liability insurance cost is projected to increase by 8%. And next table shows the expenditure by unrestricted and restricted. The top line is certificated salary, and next one is classified salary. And these two lines include not only the salary and benefit, it includes extra pay, overtime, stipends, vacation pay, and also post-retirement health benefit as well. And books and supplies. Contracts and services, this line includes not only the contracted services, it includes insurance, audit, legal, utilities, all those are included in here. Capital outlay 650,000, this is the parent funded project. And we received the money this year, and we know it's starting this year, but we may not finish everything. The things that is completed in July will be paid in July. So that is 650,000 we are anticipating. So if this was paid all in, finished by June 30th, then that will be 25-26 expenditure. Other outgo 202,000. This includes the debt service payment for clean energy bond. And restricted side 800,000. This is a payment to other district for the program that we don't have, but they're providing.
Student placements out of district.
Yes, thank you. So next one shows the fund balance. So the components of fund balance, it's a comparison between 25-26 estimated actuals to 26-27 proposed budget. We anticipate revenue to increase by about 2 million. Expenditure is increasing by 3 million. So revenue is increasing, but expenditure is increasing as well. It's outpacing. So we are deficit spending in 26-27. So ending fund balance at the end of 26-27, we anticipate it to be about 6.5 million. So ending fund balance for other funds, it's all, we anticipated to finish with positive number. So it's a good news. And we have multi-year projection. So multi-year projection, we used enrollment of 2751 in 26-27. It's about 45 enrollment increase. And this is including anticipated summer sign up as well. And it almost coincides with demographers report that was from February. Demographers report said 2749, and it just happened to be very close. 2728 and 2829, we use demographers number. Step and column increase 1.5%. Quota, we talked about it, and additional LCFF investment 1.44%.
So is that only designated for 1 year at this point?
1.44, yes.
But it's ongoing, but it's not
Right.
like 144 and another 144 and another 144. It just becomes our base.
Huh.
Mhm.
But is there a way for us to handle those dollars separately to kind of designate it towards disability?
Oh,
Pregnancy?
go ahead.
We can keep track of it, but we are anticipating some pregnancy leave at this point already. So it's included in the budget.
So she's put it as an assigned,
Right, that's what I was
Cost already.
wondering, is there a way that, okay.
but not the, right
Not
now.
the entirety of it,
not
but just to ensure that we
Yeah.
have those dollars to
Yeah.
cover.
Because this one will be used before any sick leave or paid leave the employee has
Right.
will be used, and it will be full pay.
Okay.
So we have to have, budget for the substitute. So CPI increased. It was in 26-27, it was little over 3%. Now it's 3.76. And all 3 years it has, no, actually 2 years it has increased. And third year quarter two, it is less than January proposal. CPI was less than January proposal. STIR's rate doesn't change, 19.10%. CalPERS rate increased just a little bit. So these were used to create the multi-year projection. And addition to this, average daily attendance percentage went back to, it reached the pre-COVID level. That was yay. And the independent study, the 5 days to 3 days might be contributing to that and everybody's effort. So it's great, 96.8%. So with the hopes of this will continue, because actually first interim and second interim usually goes down, but it actually went up. So it's great news. So we carried 96.8%. Teacher FTE, so 26-27, we are increasing by 3.7. 27-28, we included 1 FTE increase. And 28-29 stays the same. Currently, 1.5 FTE of intervention TOSA is paid out of discretionary fund, and this will continue in 27-28 as well. But 28-29 it is scheduled to be funded by general fund, unrestricted general fund. And some part of TIP mentor program that is paid by the discretionary fund, this is coming back to unrestricted general fund in 28-29. Some of the software licenses we purchased like this year or last year, 3-year deal or 5-year deal. We don't have it in 26-27 budget, but it is coming back in 27-28 budget. Health benefit costs anticipated to increase by 5%. This is totally a guess, but 5% is included in the budget. And the parent funded capital project at this point, we are not or we don't hear any more new stuff. So we assume it will be completed by the end of this summer. So this shows a multi-year projection for over 3 years. We start with 7.2 million and revenue comes in, expenditure goes out. So net decrease is 800,000 and 26-27 ending fund balance is projected to be about 6.4 million. 27-28, we anticipate to be out of deficit spending, and 28-29 looks better. So at the end, Orinda's budget proposal summary. So this is the quota, 2.87% is included, 1.44% is included, 14 weeks paid pregnancy disability leave that is included in the budget as well. One-time money, the new one-time money is excluded. Enrollment is increasing, but then third year it significantly slows down, is in the projection. And ADA, we kept the same 96.8%. AB 602 special ed base rate increase is included in the budget. And any significant change will be brought to you as a 45-day revision on August 17th. So the next step is to bring this back to you next Monday for the approval.
Thank you.
Questions or feedback for us? Or-
I think you really detailed all the big changes in there. There's definitely a lot of change in the revise.
Yeah, so as Mika says, once we know more about the one-time money and others, we'll revise it and bring it and write an update in August.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. Is
Thank you.
there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
We'll close this public hearing. Right, our next item, another public hearing, I remember this. Item D, access and minimum reserve requirements. Mika, you're back.
Yes. So this is a required document to show what its fund balance is being used. The 2 million that it shows on top here, this is the ending fund balance, and excluding restricted budget, and also the committed 6% is excluded from here. So from 2 million, we take 3% reserve, 1.6 million, and we have little over 400,000. And those are assigned or unassigned this way as indicated.
It is a mandatory form.
Right, okay. Thank you. Any comments, questions about this? Okay. will close this public hearing. Is all any public comment? Mika? All right, next up is our item E, resolution 2625 to rescind resolution number 1813, CalPERS post-retirement benefits for confidential classified employees employed with the district on or after March 12th, 2018.
All right, thank you, President Jogan. And may I speak to both 2625 and 2626? They work together.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I should find that. Yeah.
Great. So Resolution 2625 and 2626 work together to address post-retirement benefits for vesting rules for classified confidential employees hired on or after March 12, 2018. 2625 would repeal a past resolution of 18, which was passed in 2018, 1813, which required these employees to complete 30 years of district service to qualify for retiree health benefits. And at that time, there was a parallel represented classified resolution that indicated 17 years. And so with this resolution, this next one, 2626, we would replace that policy, 1813, with a new resolution of 2626 to align both classified confidential with the classified represented groups. And that would be 17 years for those employees hired on or after March 12, 2018.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Yes.
Any questions or comments?
I'm just curious how number 17.
I don't know that history. It was done when I was not here during a period of time.
We're going to
It's an odd number.
It's period,
I don't know if there's an ability to even any history. I didn't find any history on that. It wasn't included in any any board docket or resolution. 17 is an odd number.
It is an odd number.
Also,
Exactly.
Sometimes it's 15, 20, 10,
Right.
5. I said,
We'll look it up and see if there's a reason for that.
Can't wait to.
It may take me some time in digging, so give me a minute.
Any sense for if that's, how that compares to neighboring districts?
I don't know. We can look that up also if they have
I
anything.
guess it's supposed to be some average at the time,
Maybe.
but
I don't
know.
Prior district had, I want to say 10 years.
Oh.
I don't know what, but we'll look it up.
Yeah, neighboring districts, you said?
Yes. Okay, any other comments? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, so this is on for action.
I move that we approve board resolutions 2625 and 2626.
Might have to do them separately.
Oh, we have to do them separately? Okay, so 2625.
I'll second, this is Hillary.
Trustee Phillips? Aye. Trustee Glanz-Coleman?
Aye.
Trustee Anantavant?
Aye.
Vice President Weiner?
Aye.
President Shogun? Aye. That one carries.
The 2626 would replace the 1813, the new vesting schedule.
And is there any public comment on that one? No public comment. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve board resolution 2626.
This is Benita, I second.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Trustee Glanz-Coleman?
Aye.
Trustee Anantavant?
Aye.
Vice President Weiner?
Aye.
President Shogun? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next up are our discussion items. We have one, other post-employment benefits contribution.
Thank you. So this is an annual agenda item that the board hope to consider additional post-retirement office contribution to trust account. With the uncertainty at this point from this year, we are recommending not to contribute more than what we already did.
In addition to deficit spending in this.
Right, I agree with that.
We will not bring this to action then next.
Okay. Any other comments about that, Fred? No. Public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, then yes, we need to bring it back. Let's talk about that.
Preemptively jumped on that.
Okay. All right, then next up are Measure E&I implementation items. The first one, item A, DSA closeout and certification of Glorietta modernization project.
This is going to be to reimburse the payment that HKIT made to the Division of State Architect for the final invoice to expedite the closeout of Glorietta. the modernization. This was so that we can ensure that we were able to get the playground project started on time from the previous project.
Makes sense.
How is that punch list going at Glorietta? I feel like it's done, closer. Okay, good.
It's as far as for the DSA closeout, yeah, everything is difficult.
For DSA, but they still have.
Just beyond
work to do.
DSA.
We've still got work to do. Yeah, they're coming to paint and do some other items that carry over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the painting getting done this summer too?
The painting is.
Yeah, I saw the entire campus is closed this summer. I thought only part of it was gonna be closed. There's a big sign at Gloria that says campus closed.
Yeah, I think
No.
when they start doing the blacktop, it will be closed. But for the month of June, it's as,
Okay.
and once they do the TKR, there's gonna be a lot of
Kind of close.
movement, but it'll be,
I think even the principal communication maybe said,
and we, when we sent it out, we said, at various dates it would be closed, but not fully.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions about this item? Okay, any public comment?
No public comment.
All right, then this one is on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the reimbursement payment to HKIT for the amount paid to the Division of the State Architect.
This is Benita, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Dale, when you get to keep going, change order
All
for
right.
Terra Verde Energy LLC.
So this is for the interconnection work for our asset management company that manages our solar panels. This is just a continuation of the project to complete the interconnection for the new transformers.
Seems necessary.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions? Any public comment? No public comment. Okay, this is on for action.
This is Hillary. I recommend that the board approve the change order for Terra Verde.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, we need a second first. This is Eva, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And Dan, when you get one more, Construction West Services, roller shades for Glorietta and Delray.
All right, this is a continuation of the modernization from whenever they replaced all the windows. They didn't have time to actually complete before school started, so we had to come back and do the roller shades now. And that's essentially what it is.
I'm excited to see that be done. That would be really nice
Yes.
and yeah, tie it up in a bow. Any questions or comments about this one? Okay, any public comment?
No.
Okay, is there a motion?
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the contract with Construction West Services.
Said I second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Dylan. All right, that moves us to our board policies. Items listed under the board policy section are typically updates and new policies or administrative regulations that have been recommended by the California School Boards Association. These policies are generally acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of specific policies before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items be discussed and or removed from the board policy section. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all board policies as presented. Each item in the board policy section approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Okay. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, is there a motion?
This is Hillary. I move that we approve board policies in 9B and C.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next up are communications. Charles?
Members of the school board, district leadership, staff, families, and the Orinda community. I'm Charles Shanahan, president of the Orinda Education Association, 18 years strong. This past Friday, the final bells rang across our district as our hallways transition from the vibrant hum of learning to the quiet of summer. I want to take a moment to pause, reflect, and shine a bright, well-deserved spotlight on the extraordinary educators of Orinda. who worked tirelessly to bring the school year to a spectacular close. The end of a school year is never a gentle coast. It's a coast to the finish line. It's a marathon, a sprint that requires an incredible masterclass in logistics, energy, and heart. Leading up to the very end, Orinda's teachers managed an unbelievable balancing act with grace and unwavering professionalism. They acted as architects of celebrations, served as data champions by meticulously closing out final assessments, completing report cards, and kept classrooms structured and joyful right up to the final minute. They did all this while packing boxes and preparing rooms for summer maintenance and construction at some sites, pouring every ounce of their remaining energy into our kids. And I'm an example that our bodies know to hold it together until the final bell rings and then you get sick. Happens almost every year for me. To our families in the Orinda community, thank you for walking hand in hand with us. Your partnership, your volunteer hours, your trust are the fuel that keeps our classrooms running. To our school board and district leadership, thank you for supporting our teachers and fostering a collaborative ecosystem where educators can truly thrive. The immense success of our students this year is a direct result of this entire community lifting up its schools. Finally, to my incredible colleagues in the Orinda Education Association, you did it. You didn't just survive the school year, you championed it right through to the final bell. Your hard work ensures that our students left for summer feeling confident, loved, prepared for the coming school year. So please take this summer to rest, recharge, and soak in the gratitude of a community that stands behind you. Thank you for your brilliance, your resilience, and your heart. Have a wonderful, well-deserved summer break, and all of you as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, any cabinet updates?
Yes. Sarah.
Sure, yeah. So we're excited to start our summer school program. Mr. Shannon, as sick as he is now, he's jumping right in to teach our EL learners. Not much rest for him. On Wednesday, along with our ESY program begins on Wednesday, so that's exciting. And then our Math Boost program begins on Monday, that transitional program from 5th grade to 6th grade. And then we have some exciting opportunities for our awesome teachers as well. Summer PD opportunities they've signed up aligned to our curriculum. So a lot of readers and writers signups, and also some National Equity Project interest as well. So we'll have teachers dabbling in those things this summer, along with, we have grade level course leads that will be meeting some half days in July to do some sequencing and like ELA and math and common formative assessments, which will be good. Some of that work we try to wrap up at the end of the year, but just can't always quite get to everything. So it's nice that we'll have some leaders coming together. And then we also are bringing together a group of teachers from the early grades to do an early late work group, an early late bird work group. And they'll be developing some guidance for what kindergarten and 1st grade early late will look like. And then of course, preparing for our awesome class of new teachers on August 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah. And Gail, when? Thanks, Sarah.
We're preparing for our summer and our construction. We have started to start the demolition for all of the sites. So unfortunately you can't see, but if you were to go to the sites, you would be able to see that all of the demolition has started. We are getting ramped up to start the construction as I mentioned. Sorry, let me pull up my notes.
Give me in charge of cameras. And
Yeah.
I was nervous to pull it off because I was gonna mess something up.
No
Sorry.
worries.
No, I can't get it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But so the sites that we're working at, the 3 sites, Wagner Ranch, Sleepy Hollow, and OIS. We have our custodial staff that are at the other sites, and they're starting to ramp up for cleaning over the summer. We I'm sorry.
Trying to find it, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll quickly update while you're doing yours. I'll just say we have a leadership retreat tomorrow. So our end of the year LT retreat is a 1-day retreat, and we spend a lot of time on reflection in the morning on the past year, and then goal setting and looking forward to next year. And then also going through all the operational things for the summer to close down the schools and then be ready to reopen them. So we'll be there tomorrow, and then there's a lot of staffing and hiring happening right now.
It's decreasing, which is a nice place to be on June 1st. To have a spattering of vacancies that we're closing in on interviews, made some offers to folks. And employees, certificated employees have till June 30th to make other plans to let us know without being held to a contract. So cross our fingers, we don't hear from a single one.
Thank you.